Hi there, my name is Jack Taylor, and in today's video lesson I'm going to be talking to you about arpeggios, why you need to know them and how they can really benefit your guitar solos. So first and foremost, what is an arpeggio? So the best way that I like to think of an arpeggio is they're basically the notes of a chord played individually. So for example, if I play the C major 7 chord like this, the notes in that chord are C, E, G and B. When they're played on the guitar here, all of those notes are in that chord, but we're just playing them as kind of like one block. When I play the arpeggio, I just play the notes individually, like this. C, E, G, B, okay? So it's still the sign of the chord, but I'm playing the notes individually, okay? So that's playing the arpeggio. Some people like to arpeggiate a chord like this. And what I'm doing there is I'm playing the individual notes of the chord, which is a similar thing. But when we're kind of talking about arpeggios specifically, we're talking about playing those individual notes on their own, almost like a mini scale, you know, kind of like this. Okay, so why do you need to know arpeggios? So I think arpeggios are a really great way of playing specific chord changes, and you know, they're a really great tool for improvising as well. So the reason I think this is because when you actually have a specific chord, so like we had the C major 7 earlier, you can actually just play the notes of the C major 7 arpeggio and it will work perfectly. So you know that kind of question that guitarists ask, they'll ask, you know, what scale does this chord work over, or what notes can I use to solo? Well, when you're using an arpeggio, you can actually play the specific notes from that chord over that chord and it will just work perfectly because they're the notes in the chord. So they kind of just match up really, really well. So I'm going to try and show you 5 basic arpeggio shapes today, similar to the chords video that I did last week. So if you've not checked that video out yet, I definitely, you know, recommend checking it, that chords video, because there's some really good stuff in there, you know, about theory and how you can kind of learn different chords off of one shape. So we're going to use a similar method to that video, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the major 7 arpeggio first. So we're just going to do this in one position to begin with from the E string, okay? So I'm going to play this shape here. So the notes I'm playing are root, major 3rd, 5th, major 7, and then root again. These are the notes which are in a major 7 arpeggio. And I could also play this here. So the actual shape's the same there from the E string. I could also play it on my D string. Kind of slightly change my position there to go. Because of the way the B string is tuned, because it's tuned up a major 3rd from G to B, I have to change the way I finger that. So the fingers that I'd use there would be 2nd, 1st, pinky over onto B. Okay, and I can also play it on the G string as well. Okay, so there are 4 different ways to play the major 7 shape. So I'll go through those one more time. So we've got it on the E, then on the A, on the D, and on the G as well. So even though I'm playing 4 different arpeggio shapes, the intervals in them is exactly the same. They're all root, 3rd, 5th, and major 7. Okay. A really cool thing that I can do with those shapes is I can actually connect them, so I can connect the E up to the D shape to get a 2-octave arpeggio. I can also do the same with A to G. Okay, so there are major 7 arpeggios, okay, on the E, D, from the A, G. Now, if I wanted to change this to a dominant 7 arpeggio, I'd have to change for 7. So the intervals in a dominant 7 arpeggio are root, third, fifth, and flat 7. So as I explained last week, when you flatten a note, you take it down in pitch, okay? And in this case, we're taking it down a semitone, which on the guitar is 1 fret. So we're actually going to take this note here, which is on major 7. So we've got root, third, fifth, major 7. We're going to take that down a fret. So we get this. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing here. So our major 7 in the A position was here. And we're going to take this note, which is our major 7 note, down to a flat 7 here. And we get this. The same thing here. So our major 7 is here. We're going to take this down to a flat 7 and do this. Okay, and the same thing here. So our major 7, this is top note here. So we're going to go. So I can do the same thing. I can actually join the shape. So I can do this. My dominant 7 arpeggio. Okay, so the next chord we can do is minor 7, right? So in a minor chord, in a minor 7 chord specifically, we have root, flat 3, 5, and flat 7. So it's very similar to the dominant 7th chord, except for we've changed that third to a flat third, so from major third to minor third. So here's our dominant 7 arpeggio. I'm actually going to take this third and flatten it here. So we could play it like this. But that's a little bit awkward on the fingers, you know, it's a fine position, but what we can actually do is take this note here and put it here on fret 11. So now my arpeggio is like this. So the notes are root, flat 3, fifth, flat 7, root. Okay, so we go. Do the same thing on the A string. Same thing on the D string. Same thing on the G. Do this slowly for you just so you can pick them up. So here's the first one on E. Then on A. Then on D. Then on G. And then we can connect our E and D shapes. And our A and G shapes. Right, so the next chord we're going to do is minor 7 flat 5. So as I mentioned last time, the notes in a minor 7 flat 5 chord are root, flat 3, flat 5 and flat 7. So we're going to take this fifth here, this perfect fifth, and turn this into a flat 5. So now we get this. Okay, so from minor 7, which was this, to minor 7 flat 5. Okay, nice and slowly. And then we can also do it here from the A string. From here, from the D. And here from the G. So all of those arpeggios I played there all contain root, flat 3, flat 5 and flat 7. So just like all the other versions that we've done so far, we can connect our E string root arpeggios to the D string root arpeggio. And do the same thing from the A string root to the G string root. Okay, so the last chord we'll do is diminish. So in this chord we actually have a root note, a flattened third, a flattened fifth and a double flat 7. So in this case, we're going to take the 7th from the minor 7 flat 5 and take this down a fret to there. So we get. You could also do it like this. Okay. So we'll use that one, that shape, the second one I played there. So I'll do it slowly for you. Also do this on the A string. You can also do it on D. You can also do it on G. Okay, so if I put them together from E to D, my diminished arpeggio, and from A to G. So from the A string to the G string. Okay, so just to recap, we had major 7 with root, 3rd, 5th and major 7. And from the A string to the G string. Dominant 7. Change the major 7, this note here, to a flat 7. Same on the A to the G string. So the reason that works is because the notes in a dominant 7 called a root, 3rd, 5th and flat 7, and we change the major 7 from a major 7 arpeggio to a flat 7. Okay. Then we got minor 7, so we're going to change the major 3rd now to a minor 3rd, but we're not going to put that note there, we're going to put it up here on the same string on the E. So we get this now. Then onto the A. So the intervals in that are root, flat 3, 5 and flat 7. So we just changed the major 3rd from the dominant 7 arpeggio to a flat 3rd. And then we went on to minor 7 flat 5, which has a flattened 5th in it. So the minor 7 arpeggio, as I just said, had root, flat 3rd, 5th, flat 7. The minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio now has root, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7. So we find where the 5th is in the arpeggio, change it to a flat 5, and we do that on all the arpeggios. And then same here. And the last one was our diminished arpeggio. Okay, so the diminished arpeggio had root, flat 3, flat 5, so far the same as the minor 7 flat 5, but the 7th note, the flat 7 changes to a double flat 7. So now we get this. Was this, but this note is being flattened. Okay, so now we get. I'll play that one more time for you. And the same here from the A to the G string. So once you've got familiar with those shapes, I'd recommend doing them all in one key. So doing them, just in C, and getting all the chord types down. So like major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7 flat 5, diminished, and then do it in all the other keys as well. So you then move it to, let's say we'll move it to G. So we go major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7 flat 5, diminished 7, and then you do that in the other position as well. So you have major 7 up here, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7 flat 5, you've done that all in 12 keys, now it's time to start to actually use it in your playing. So the great thing about arpeggios is you might be wondering, okay, that's great, Jack, you know, I can play those arpeggios, or I can, you know, I can definitely get started with that. But how can I begin to use them, okay? So the way that you begin to use arpeggios is anytime you see that specific chord, use the arpeggio shape over it, at least to begin with anyway. So for example, if you see a D minor 7 chord, you'd use a D minor 7 arpeggio. If you saw a G7 chord, you'd use a G dominant 7 arpeggio. If you saw a C major 7 chord, you'd use a C major 7 arpeggio. Hey there guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I put a lot of work into these videos, so if you've made it this far, thank you so much for checking it out. If you want to find out more about me and what I do for a living, and you know, about my life as a working professional and as a guitar player, you can check out my various social media pages. You can check me out, Jack Taylor Guitarist, on Instagram, facebook.com/Jack Taylor Guitarist, and you can also contact me on my website at jacktaylorguitarist.com, where I'm offering all sorts of lessons. There's free lessons over there. You can listen to my music and you can just check out generally what I'm up to week from week. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you again next time.